You can be beautiful, loyal, and deeply caring, and still lose his desire overnight, not because you did something wrong, but because of 5 quiet mistakes that slowly drain his attraction without you even realizing it. If you've ever felt him pull away for no clear reason, stay with me, because by the end, you'll understand exactly what changed and how to make his desire return naturally without games or pretending to be someone else. Here's the truth. Desire isn't built on looks or effort, it's built on emotional energy. Men feel drawn to women who make them feel alive, not trapped. But when a woman starts over-explaining every emotion or trying to prove her worth through effort, it flips an invisible switch in his mind. He doesn't see her as less valuable, he just feels less inspired. Because desire fades when pressure replaces peace. And once that happens, he stops chasing, not because he doesn't care, but because he no longer feels that spark of mystery and respect that first pulled him in. If you're tired of connections fading too soon, hit subscribe, because understanding what creates desire is the first step to keeping it alive. I'll show you how small shifts in your mindset can bring back his focus, his effort, and his genuine emotional attraction. There are 5 things a woman can do that can make a man's desire fade within seconds. And the surprising part is, most of these things happen without her even realizing it. It might sound a bit harsh, but once you understand how fast attraction can disappear, not because of what you say, but because of what you silently show, you'll never see chemistry the same way again. People always talk about what creates desire, confidence, mystery, playfulness, but very few ever talk about what quietly destroys it. And it doesn't take betrayal or boredom to make it vanish. Sometimes it's a tone, a small shift in energy, or one pressuring moment that breaks what once felt magnetic. The human mind is built to crave tension, not comfort. Real desire exists in the space between closeness and distance. When that balance breaks, the spark dies too. But before we go any deeper, let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a man suddenly pull away for no clear reason? His texts slow down, his excitement fades, and suddenly you're replaying every word you said, trying to figure out what went wrong. What if I told you it wasn't really him changing? It was his instinct retreating. Because men don't lose desire through logic, they lose it chemically. The same way adrenaline drops after an exciting moment, a man's attraction can fade after certain emotional signals. Signals most women send without even knowing it. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding how masculine desire really works, so you can stop guessing and start seeing the invisible cues before they vanish. The truth is, attraction isn't built by trying harder. It's built by stopping the quiet habits that slowly turn him off. There's a pattern many women fall into without realizing it. It begins with overconnection, texting too often, over-explaining, or giving constant reassurance. The intention is good, but the energy says, "You're my world," and that's exactly when his system pulls back. Why? Because male desire runs on pursuit, not maintenance. He wants to feel that your life existed before him and will still exist without him. The moment that feeling disappears, so does his chase. But that's only one of the 5 mistakes. The next ones are even more subtle. Small habits that seem caring but feel like control to him. Yet before we unpack those, there's something you need to truly grasp. Chemistry doesn't vanish in an instant. It fades slowly, like a leak. Every time you say or do something that tells his body safe but predictable, you remove tiny doses of excitement that fuel attraction. You might think you're building closeness, but you're actually lowering the spark. And here's the paradox. The closer you try to get, the less he feels. That's why this isn't about following rules. It's about rhythm. The rhythm between feminine expression and masculine response. If you've ever wondered why he was crazy about you at first and then suddenly distant, it's not timing. It's a collapse of polarity. The magnetic tension between 2 people works like gravity. It only exists when both remain distinct. Once you blend too much into his space, the field weakens. So before we talk about mistake number 1, remember this. Desire isn't about access, it's about anticipation. The more predictable you become, the less room there is for his imagination. And imagination is the oxygen of desire. That's why the most captivating women aren't the most available. They're the most aware. They know when to show and when to hold back, when to speak and when silence says more. They understand that holding space creates attraction, not filling it. I used to think this was manipulation, that if you didn't share everything, you were being cold or distant. But I was wrong. It's not about distance. It's about discipline. Because the truth is, real closeness needs space to breathe. When you crowd it, it suffocates. When you learn to create space intentionally, you stop chasing connection. You guide it. So what's the first mistake that kills male desire instantly? It's the urge to correct him, not in big arguments, but in small, unnoticed ways, finishing his sentences, adjusting his choices, or subtly guiding his rhythm. To you, it might feel like partnership. To him, it feels like pressure. His system reads it as, I'm not trusted to lead. And once that thought lands, attraction drains away, like water through a crack. Because every man's desire is tied to his sense of freedom. The more he feels observed or managed, the less alive he feels. This doesn't mean you should stay quiet. It means shifting from correction to curiosity. Instead of saying, that's not how it's done, try, interesting, show me how you do it. You give him space to express without feeling tested. That tiny shift reignites polarity. You're not giving up power, you're allowing flow, the best part. When you stop trying to control the outcome, his energy naturally rises to meet yours. That's the paradox. The less you push, the more he pulls. Keep this in mind, because it connects to mistake number 2, the one that doesn't just turn off desire, but changes how he emotionally feels when he looks at you. And that's where it gets tricky, invisible, emotional, and sometimes irreversible. The second mistake that kills male desire almost instantly is emotional overexposure. Not emotion itself, but when it floods the space between you until he feels drowned in your transparency. Society tells women to communicate openly, but no one explains that safety and desire come from 2 different systems. Safety relaxes him, desire excites him. When you share every thought, every detail, every emotion before his curiosity even forms, you take away the mystery that keeps his mind chasing you. It's like music. If every note plays at once, there's no melody, just noise. The same thing happens in attraction. When you fill every silence with explanations, you leave him with nothing to wonder about. And when a man stops wondering, he soon stops wanting. I once thought vulnerability meant total honesty, showing everything to build closeness. But true intimacy isn't about oversharing. It's about precision. The right detail, shared at the right moment, deepens connection. Everything else becomes emotional noise. When he senses that your emotions constantly spill into his world, his system doesn't read it as love. It reads it as imbalance. His body reacts before his mind even knows why. He might say he's fine, but his energy will quietly pull back. Desire depends on polarity, your emotional flow moving toward him while his energy stabilizes around it. When that flow turns into a flood, the polarity short circuits. Suddenly, he doesn't feel drawn, he feels drained. That's when he begins to detach quietly, not because he stopped caring, but because his system is searching for balance. The fix isn't silence, it's calibration. The power isn't in how much you share, but in how you hold what you feel. When you can experience deep emotion without seeking reassurance, you radiate calm confidence. That quiet strength reignites his desire because it tells him, I feel deeply, but I'm steady. It's emotional control disguised as mystery, and that's exactly what keeps him magnetically drawn to you. Then comes mistake number 3, the one most women confuse with strength: emotional competition. It happens quietly, often with good intentions. You match his sarcasm, his confidence, his logic. You think that mirroring his strength will earn his respect, but respect and attraction run on different wires. When you try to meet masculine energy with more masculine energy, the chemistry goes flat. It's like putting two positive charges together. They push each other away. A man doesn't crave reflection, he craves resonance. The feminine energy isn't about being soft or weak, it's about contrast. The energy that pulls him closer is the one that complements his drive, not mirrors it. When he speaks with logic, respond with presence. When he moves fast, slow your rhythm. When he plans, bring a little spontaneity. That's polarity in motion. It's not about roles, it's about rhythm. Many women lose that rhythm because they've been taught that softness means submission. It doesn't. It's a form of strategy. The true power of feminine energy isn't in confrontation, it's in calibration. The art of attraction isn't winning against him, it's making him forget there was ever a battle. When that happens, he doesn't feel controlled or defensive. He feels pulled in. Ironically, the women who appear the strongest and most independent often struggle most with this. They know how to lead, but they've forgotten how to receive. Desire fades when there's nothing left for him to offer. When every plan, every decision, every gesture is taken over, he stops contributing, not out of pride, but because there's no space left for him to add value. His attraction doesn't fade from boredom, it fades from feeling unnecessary. If you want to bring it back, create space for his energy to land. Ask, "What do you think?" Not as a test, but as an opening. When he feels needed again, his body wakes up. Attraction isn't built through constant excitement, it's built through meaning. That's why even a small shift, giving him a task or letting him take the lead, can reignite that spark faster than endless compliments. You're not feeding his ego, you're feeding his instinct. Men are wired to respond to loops of effectiveness. When you give him that loop, his desire grounds itself again. But when you cut it off, his motivation fades. Now, before we go to mistake number 4, there's something important to realize. These aren't just habits you can see. They're micro signals his subconscious picks up long before his mind does. Every tone, every micro expression, every reaction tells him whether to move closer or pull back. The next mistake you're about to hear is the quietest one. It doesn't show in words or actions, it hides in energy. And once it shows, desire doesn't just fade, it disappears completely. The fourth mistake that kills male desire isn't something you say or do. It's the invisible energy of self-doubt that seeps into every interaction. You can be stunning, smart, magnetic, but even the tiniest wave of insecurity reaches his body before it reaches his thoughts. Men may not analyze emotions the same way women do, but they feel energetic contrast like radar. When your tone hesitates, when your body tenses before he answers, when your eyes search for reassurance, he senses a shift. His instincts move from feeling to evaluating. He's no longer experiencing you, he's studying you. And once he's analyzing, the spark is gone. Because desire can't exist under analysis. It only survives under surrender. Confidence isn't loud or arrogant, it's calm. It's the quiet in your voice that says, "I don't need to be chosen to know my worth." That's what keeps his attention locked without effort. Insecurity, on the other hand, sends invisible pressure. It silently asks him to prove, to reassure, to fix. And once he steps into that role, polarity collapses. He becomes the protector, and you become the dependent. The spark turns into comfort, safe but without passion. Ironically, most women show their insecurity when they care the most. They overthink texts, read too much into silence, and overcompensate with effort. But the more effort that comes from fear, the less desire he feels. Attraction isn't built from effort, it's built from alignment. When your energy says, "I'm already whole," he relaxes into desire. When it says, "I need you to complete me," he retreats into logic. And once logic replaces instinct, attraction dies. That's why the most captivating women aren't the most flawless. They're the ones who can hold tension without collapsing. They don't chase reassurance, they project certainty. They understand that the less they need to prove, the more magnetic they become. But now comes mistake number 5, the most deceptive one of all: emotional monotony. It happens when you stop surprising his senses. Everything you do, say, or wear becomes expected. There's no new rhythm, no spark of unpredictability. The brain, wired for novelty, starts to wander. He stops leaning in, not because he's tired of you, but because his system already knows what's coming. Consistency builds trust, but unpredictability creates excitement. You need both, yet most women lose the second once they feel safe. They stop flirting with tension, they stop switching rhythm, they stop adding contrast between warmth and mystery, openness and pause. Without contrast, there's no current. Imagine a song played with one note over and over. No matter how perfect the tone is, it still loses life. Attraction works the same way. Every man, whether he realizes it or not, craves emotional rhythm, the rise and fall of tone, the pause between words, the small, unpredictable energy shifts that keep him alert and engaged. The secret isn't drama, it's dynamics. Drama drains, dynamics attract. To bring that energy back, you don't need to change who you are. You just need to remember who you were before you tried to be perfect. The spontaneous version, the playful one, the woman who teased without fear, that version still exists, hidden beneath caution. When she comes back, his system wakes up again. Desire doesn't grow in safety alone. It thrives on suspense. Give him comfort, then step back just an inch. Smile when he expects silence. Go quiet when he expects words. The smallest change in pattern resets his focus. This is how you revive his curiosity without manipulation. You're not confusing him. You're reawakening his instinct to explore you. Because in the end, attraction isn't about constant attention. It's about ongoing discovery. Now that you know all 5 mistakes, correction, overexposure, emotional competition, self-doubt, and monotony, you can start to notice these patterns in real time. You'll see how each one drains a different part of his system, his leadership, his curiosity, his polarity, his instinct, his excitement. Fix those, and you'll never have to chase connection again. It will start chasing you. But before you move to the final part, there's one last truth to understand. Knowing the mistakes isn't enough. You have to master the rhythm that keeps them from coming back. And that rhythm doesn't come from control, it comes from presence. The same idea that makes a touch unforgettable can also make your energy unforgettable. The real question is, how do you use it without losing control? Presence is the answer to every mistake that destroys desire. When you are truly present, you stop performing and start sensing. You feel before you speak. You read his breathing before you listen to his words. That deep awareness changes everything, because a man's desire isn't triggered by appearance alone. It's triggered by the harmony of your energy. When your emotions, thoughts, and actions are in alignment, his body reads it as magnetism. He doesn't know why, it just feels right. He feels calmer, more focused, more drawn to you. It's the same state artists call flow, and psychologists describe as limbic resonance, when 2 nervous systems connect effortlessly. The paradox is, you can't fake it. You can fake confidence or pretend to be interested, but presence is biological. It shows in your eyes, in the pauses between your sentences, in the calmness of your tone, even when everything around feels uncertain. That's why the most attractive energy isn't excitement, it's centeredness. When you're grounded in your body, his body feels safe enough to desire. It's not the thrill that keeps him coming back. It's the peace mixed with tension, softness blended with certainty. That's the emotional version of the back of his neck, the lower back, and that invisible space between his mind and body, the same 3 zones from the viral script you studied. You're not touching him physically, but you're touching his awareness, his sense of safety, his synchronization. The secret lies in reversing the process inward. Touch your own awareness first. Notice how your breath changes when he's near. Notice how your shoulders respond in silence. Every tiny adjustment you make to your energy creates a ripple in his. That's influence without words, attraction without effort. The goal isn't to control him, but to regulate yourself so deeply that his system unconsciously aligns with yours. When you exhale slowly, he does too. When you stay still, his rhythm calms down. That's real chemistry, the invisible kind. It's what keeps his attention even when you're not trying. But here's the catch. Once women realize this power, many start using it as a tactic, and that's when the magic fades. The moment you chase a reaction, you lose the resonance. The moment you use stillness to manipulate instead of connect, it turns empty. True presence isn't a performance, it's surrender. You stop trying to impress, you stop predicting what comes next, and you simply exist in the moment you're in. That's what makes him addicted, not to you, but to how he feels when he's around you. It's the same loop of peace and curiosity his mind can't explain, so it replays. He starts linking you with calm excitement, an impossible mix. Every time he feels that emotional note again, his brain recalls you, even if he tries not to. That's called imprinting. It's not fantasy, it's how memory gets wired. And this is where mastery begins. You stop trying to create desire and start maintaining it through rhythm. Speak, then pause. Smile, then hold his gaze one heartbeat longer. Let silence breathe until it feels magnetic instead of uncomfortable. Those small moments of tension are the oxygen of attraction. Most people rush to fill them, but you won't anymore, because now you understand. When you can stay in that silence without fear, he feels it as strength. When you can look at him without needing anything, he feels it as confidence. That's how attraction grows. From reaction to regulation, you no longer chase being wanted. You choose to be remembered, because being wanted is quick, but being remembered is lasting influence. That's real art. Now picture this. You've fixed the 5 mistakes, you've learned to embody presence, and suddenly his behavior changes. His tone softens, his eyes stay longer, his touch slows down. You've changed the rhythm without saying a word. What happens next? This is where many lose control. They mistake his renewed attention for validation. But the truth is, when he starts mirroring your calm, you're standing on the edge between influence and dependence. Your job isn't to tighten your hold, it's to stay grounded, because the same awareness that drew him in can either keep the balance or destroy it. When you understand that your real power isn't over him, but over your own energy, that's what makes attraction last. Not for hours, but for years. So when he looks at you and you sense that tiny pause, the slow breath, the silent question in his eyes, you'll know he's feeling the loop, that invisible pull between calm and craving. You don't need to say a word, just hold your stillness. Let him feel the depth of the space you've mastered, and when you walk away, leave a whisper behind, a thought that stays long after, because desire doesn't fade. It follows wherever presence leads. When a woman reacts from insecurity, every action starts coming from fear. Fear of losing him, fear of not being enough, fear that he might choose someone else. That fear doesn't always look dramatic. It often hides behind small things like overtexting, overanalyzing his silence, or needing constant reassurance that everything's okay. The problem is, when a woman's energy shifts from confidence to control, a man doesn't feel calm around her anymore. He starts feeling tested, monitored, or emotionally cornered.